So much of our time today, fittingly, is paying tribute to the victims of the Nova Scotia shooting. And yesterday, at about this time, we had just identified Lisa McCully, mother of two, elementary school teacher at DeBert Elementary. And these are scenes of her classroom and the tributes from within her school. Let's listen to some of those.
She's left a hole. For a lot of her kids, I'm sure there's going to have to be counseling and to deal with a lot of them have never faced a death like this. Most of us, I haven't either.
Most in the country have not either, in fact. These are just such poignant scenes because there's her sweater still draped over her chair in her class. She was teaching remotely these past weeks because of COVID-19, but staying very closely connected to students who care deeply about her. We've heard from the Nova Scotia Teachers Union about that connection, but we're going to hear it in even more personal terms from one of her closest friends who's with me here from St. John, New Brunswick. Bonnie Williams, my guest. And Bonnie, thank you for being here as we pay tribute to your friend. Thanks for the time this morning. I would like to know, when we look at the pictures, and we'll see these pictures of your friend, Lisa, and all I notice is this beautiful big smile. So that smile makes me want to find out more about her. What made Lisa McCully a good friend, Bonnie?
Well, I think the smile kind of says it all. She just had a positive energy. Lisa just lit up a room when she walked in. And she just was a vibrant, vivacious, energetic person who just brought life and passion to everything that she did. She was a fabulous mother, a creative teacher, just a wonderful, loyal friend, and a spiritual person, just so many adjectives that I can't even list all of her great qualities.
Well, let's explore some more of them. When you said a great teacher, when you talked about personal qualities and virtues and values, that's one of the things that they've been talking about at her school, DeBert Elementary. And as we look at maybe pictures of that classroom again, I don't know if you were able to see those, but it's just, it's very moving to take a look at her picture of her sweater over her chair in that empty class, which she was never able to return to. Tell me how much teaching meant to her, Bonnie.
Well, I do know that Lisa came from a family of educators. Her parents were both teachers, and I actually taught with them when I first started teaching in New Brunswick. So that was my first connection with Lisa. And she certainly had good role models and just became the type of teacher who was an advocate for her students. She cared deeply about the ones who had special needs. She was always looking for new ways to teach them about life lessons and not just about the content that was in the curriculum. And even in the last recent weeks, she would send little video clips of things that she was doing outdoors to teach her kids about the tides, the funny tides, and just using creative ways during this time of lockdown. So she put a lot of time and energy into keeping that connection going with the kids remotely.
Well, no wonder she was a favorite teacher, as the school has described her, and why I was struck by the Nova Scotia Teachers Union emphasizing that virtues and personal qualities were important to her, and those were things she was trying to instill in the students in her class.
Absolutely, and I know that Lisa was very socially conscious, and just several months ago she was working on an initiative to help women who were in the northern part of Canada, and she was always reaching out to others, very concerned about people in need. And so again, just a caring individual for sure.
No more important to her, though, as far as children, would be the two children of her own, and we have some video of her singing with them. Now, we blurred out their faces, of course. We want to make sure we do that. But I know, as you spoke to Carol Off on As It Happens, talking about, in some ways, this COVID-19 quarantine had been a blessing for her in that she was able to spend so much time. Who knew it would be at the end of her life, but so much time with her own two children. Tell me about what they were doing and how she was valuing these weeks with them.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Lisa a couple of weeks ago on the phone, and she said, I think the extroverts are having a hard time with this, but she said, I enjoy this time to just connect with Marcus and Alex and do things together. They loved nature. They were going to the beach. They were making mazes. On Saturday, they built a maze. She taught them how to bake bread. Every day was a new project. They were picking mushrooms, and she said it was just such a wonderful time to have that quality time with her children and to also have just that spiritual time. And she actually said to me in a text that she felt like she was in a really good place. So,
that is so heartbreaking given the circumstances of what would ultimately happen on the weekend. And there's a story that I do want you to share as well, because obviously people will be coming to gather her children and hold them close, but also she has an elderly father in New Brunswick who celebrated a birthday, but she wasn't able to be there because of COVID-19. Tell me what she and you planned for her 82-year-old father specially.
Well, it was frustrating probably for Lisa because her dad was turning 82 and she knew that she couldn't come to New Brunswick, nor could her sister, because they're both in Nova Scotia. So she reached out to some of us who taught with John and to see if we could put together a little sign or something on his lawn that would say, honk, it's my birthday today. And we decided it just sort of morphed into a physically distanced parade. And we actually have a nickname for him. We call him Grampy K because as a retired teacher, he continued to go into the schools and read to the children, sort of in a Robert Munch kind of style. And he has quite a following in the elementary schools in the area, very popular. So the students and their parents, who I imagine many of them were also taught by Grampy K, congregated, and I think there had to be 60 to 100 cars that drove by his house, and they had signs, they honked, they yelled out greetings. And so we had a little video that we had of that parade. And we, when I came home from the parade, I sent it off to Lisa, and she was just thrilled that we were able to pull that off for her dad. And so it was a nice memory to know that she knew how much we all cared about her father.
And you'll need to show that, Karen.
She wanted to reach out to him,
as well. Yeah. How is he with the knowledge of what has happened to his very special daughter?
Obviously, he's in shock. It's been a very, very difficult time. So we are there for him. The rest of his family are all in Nova Scotia, so it makes it quite difficult. So those of us who are here are his family. He does have some nieces in the area as well. But I think that the reality hasn't really sunk in. He's obviously devastated to lose Lisa. And also with the social distancing, it makes it really hard. We want to be able to hug him. We want to reach out in a physical way, but we have to find creative ways to help him. And certainly there are lots of people around him, neighbors, former colleagues, and people in the community and the church who are reaching out and seeing to his needs, but it's not easy.
As we listen to you talk about, I mean, the family connections, your friendship, your giving and good friend, Bonnie, nice to know that at the end of her life that she was in a good place and she viewed it that way. But of course, the circumstances, I mean, how are you even, sort of understanding this or coming to terms with this in your own mind at the loss of your friend in this way?
I think it's really impossible to come to terms with it. It's heartbreaking. It doesn't really seem real. So I have to convince myself that it is good, that she was in a wonderful place with her children. And Lisa loved life. I mean, she always eked all of the beauty out of every day. So I have to feel that in her 49 years, she certainly had many, many joyous times, many friends, and a great relationship with family. And so that's what I have to focus on, that her 49 years were filled with many, many wonderful times and connections.
We could see that in the photos, how fortunate that you got to share them in real life with her, your close friend. Bonnie, I really appreciate your time and your tribute to Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.